Uh-oh. I think it's
we got
happening.
him.
I think it's happening. All right,
I
let's
bet
run it
Max
back.
doesn't remember that story of how they became friends.
Well,
I'll
he
ask
won't
him.
call us friends either.
Yeah,
I'll ask him.
acquaintances.
Yes.
All right, let's bring him back. Max, we got
There
you
he
now.
is.
Perfect. There we go. Let's go. Is it true? Is it true? Did you meet AJ through Johnny Damon?
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, out in Chicago.
See?
Would you call him a friend?
Yep. See?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
played against each other a lot of
Yeah,
times.
see?
So yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Hey, listen. I'll say this.
I
about
don't
Max
see you guys.
punched
I
me out.
can't see. All I see is the square.
Okay.
That's fine. We just need to see you. We need to hear you.
Okay.
Your
We
hair
got him
looks
good.
perfect, by the way.
Oh, good. That's hard for me. I don't have much left.
You got a
Keep
couple
fighting,
haircuts.
keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah, you
Well,
definitely
Max,
have.
Right.
You have more
You've got
haircuts
AJ.
than Kip does.
Yeah, and definitely more than Kratz. You've got AJ,
Yeah.
Kratz, Kipnis is here, Scotty here. All right, AJ.
No, I just want to go in. Max, first of all, thanks for joining us. Where do we start? 2 awesome starts with Texas. By the way, you have 11 wins this year. Scott says wins don't matter, so you feel free to tell him to fuck
Team
off.
wins matter. Team wins matter.
No,
Yeah.
they matter, but it's not the end all stat. I mean, it's not judge pitchers completely by wins and losses. But don't tell me when you show up to the park that you don't want to win. So there's something to it, but there's other things that tell what's a better pitcher. But at the end of the day, what feels the best at the end of a game? A win.
It's true.
You're looking at me. I said team wins.
Yeah, but he's
All right, one more on this, then we'll get to the good
Yes.
stuff. Max, if you don't get a win, right, but you gave the team 8 innings, 12 punch outs, team scored in the 9th for you or something, or say 7, and the team scored in the 9th and you win 1-0. Aren't you just as fired up?
Yeah, I mean, you are, but you know what? Sometimes I wish everything could be perfect. I wish I could go out there and be perfect every time. But guess what? Sometimes you go out there and you give up 4 in the first. And then if you can hang in there and that doesn't knock you out, and you actually end up pitching deep in a game, and then your teammates come back, like sometimes that win almost feels better because it wasn't perfect.
So that's what you were doing your first start against the White Sox? You gave
Yeah,
up 3
yeah,
in the
actually,
first?
yeah.
Like,
That's a good description.
I want to see the boys come back for the. So I'm, your first start, you're like, hey, White Sox, here's 3 in the first. Now I'm going to let the boys come back and get me a win and a team win for Scott. And then the second start, you just shoved it up Oakland's ass. So I mean, that was, typical Max, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, Max, I want to know. So you joined this team. Chris Young is the GM, and I know there was a lot that went down to get you there. Just first off, like starting with the present, what is the pitching machine like in Texas? Because they've been pitching well this year, and they've been acquiring other guys that I'm sure you're glad to have as teammates, like a Jordan Montgomery who joins the mix in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it seems like Chris Young really values pitching, and more pitching. You can't get enough.
Well, I think that's everybody across the league. I mean, has anybody ever said we have had too much pitching? So I don't think that comment exists. But I mean, as much as Chris Young's, assembling these arms and bringing these guys in, I also know a thing or two. This is also Mike Maddox. Mike Maddox really knows what he's doing, really knows how to, prepare for a team and a series and how to talk to each pitcher and, where you want to be sequencing and what you want to do with guys. So, you also got to throw Mike Maddox's name in there as well.
So who's your go-to guy there? Is Maddox the guy where you're like, yeah, I'm going to listen and hear what he says? Obviously, you have your 15 plus years of knowledge, but is he a guy that you're like, all right, he says something day one, the first game against the White Sox. Are you like, okay, I can hear it? Or are you like, piss off, nerd?
No, you definitely listen to him. I mean, just like you're listening to your catcher and you're relying on your instincts. I mean, I kind of, between the 3 of us, you're always trying to figure out what the right idea is and, how you want to, attack a hitter in that specific moment. So it's kind of like who gets 2, where's 2 out of 3? I'd say it's more like that.
Max, when you're on the mound the first time against the White Sox and Mike Maddox comes out and he puts his hand on your shoulder and he goes, if you ever, because I saw Joe Nathan do it once, he just don't touch me, as Kratz calls him, nerd. Have you ever just been like, Mike, come on, like, I don't need that?
Yeah, the previous 2 years with Mad Dog, I think it's just kind of I think he has a brain himself. Yeah, he's never touched me on the mound.
Really?
No, he's never put his hand on
Wow,
me.
because he said he always told me he likes to feel the heartbeat
Yeah.
in the pitcher, so that's why he does it. Wow, he's
Yeah.
never touched you. Wow.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, don't touch me.
What? Did you hear? Remember we had Stripling?
Yeah,
Were you on for that show?
maybe.
Oh,
I don't know what you
Kratz,
said.
do
Where
you
you
remember
going?
Stripling? What he said? Tell Max.
About how he holds his mustache on when he comes out.
No,
Yeah, he is
Stripling
always
went to
just
get a
sitting
high
there covering
five.
his face, yeah.
Oh, from Max. Yeah, at the All-Star game. Stripling story about Max at the All-Star game. He said you were pitching, you were starting, and you went to give him a high five. Or he went to give you a high five, walking in the dugout, and you're like, don't ever try to give me a high five.
That sounds true. Yeah, I just don't do high fives before games. Like I'm just locked in. Like there's no fist pound. That's for the other 4 days. When it's my day, like nothing else matters.
Oh wait, are you the guy that gets there super? Because we had a guy named Rick Reed that would get to the park at like 1:00 in his start day, and he'd just sit there, and you couldn't talk to him, you couldn't say anything to him. And then we had guys like Mark Burley that would be bouncing around, talking, high fiving everybody. So you seem more like the Rick Reed type, the don't talk to me day.
No, I'm actually both. I get to the park, I'm actually as loose as can be, talking with everybody, like in on all the jokes, in on all the all the pools and whatnot. I'm completely normal. Do my preparation, and obviously, then once I put my headphones on, then that's when I lock it in, and that's when I don't talk to anybody until I come out of the game.
How does this trade differ from when you went to the Dodgers? For you?
I think it just, for me, just baseball wise, I mean, this is similar. You mean you're going to a good team, and you got a chance to be able to win. Maybe the Dodgers are a little bit more veteran. This team, the Texas team's a little bit younger. It's similar on the baseball side. You're going into a winning baseball team, and it's a put. You get it with the winning atmosphere, and all of that changes. I mean, the wild side is everything that's going on outside of the field, and that's trying to move the family across the country and all everything that's going down. So yeah, it's for my wife. It's absolutely hectic, but because we learned our lessons with the Dodger trade, I think we'll be able to navigate this trade a little bit better.
Was this one more shocking? Because if, we one of our combos with you probably was like April 1st or even before that. Percentage chance back then, if I would have said, hey, what's the percentage chance you think you'll get traded? You would have been like, dude, what?
Yeah, I thought it was zero. And I even the weekend before the trade deadline, I thought it was 0. I didn't think I was going to get traded, or anybody that was on the 2024 Mets was going to get traded. That was kind of like our, the clubhouse. The clubhouse, we kind of, everybody plays GM, everybody plays owner. Like, what are you thinking? How's the team going to look at this? And you're playing along and thinking along with, kind of how the front office thinks. And that was kind of our thought of the clubhouse, is that we'd all still be there, but obviously things pivoted, and decisions have to be made because of that.
Max, were you, when it started happening, and you obviously, the story's out there that you went to the front office and said, hey, what's going on? You have to be grateful that they came to you and gave you an honest answer. I know it probably wasn't the answer you wanted, right? Because if I'm a player and I go to them and say, what's the deal? And they say, well, we're not going to be good for 2 years, possibly, maybe 3 years. You have to say, well, thank you. I'd be like, dude, thank you so much. Whoever I don't know who you talked to, but
Epler and
Cohen, whoever, Buck. I would have been like, man, thank you. Yeah, sure, I'll accept the trade to Texas. That would have been like, yeah, they're going to be good. They're trying to win. Let me get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I was thankful. They were very honest, very forth. I mean, there was a lot more questions I asked, and they were honest, and I thought I was getting a straight answer, and was walking through the totality of the decision of everything that was going to be out there, and it became obvious which way the team was going to go, and the best decisions for everybody involved, and you just that's the business of baseball. It gets real at times. It gets real ugly. It gets crazy at times. But you got to be calm and be able to make that decision. And it happens usually in like 24, 48 hours, where you think even in free agency, you're just sitting there in free agency, and all of a sudden you get an offer, and you got 24, 48 hours to be able to make a decision of where you're going to be spending your life, your career, everything, all the decisions that go around it. So I feel like I've had to make so many, baseball decisions like that over my career. Between my wife and I, we've gotten pretty good about keeping calm. And, as it gets crazy and you start thinking about all the different layers to, a decision, to be able to sit there and be able to be calm and be able to make the right decision and, do what's best for your career.
What will you miss the most about the Mets or New York or anything that involved that signing?
Really, the guys in there. Really, from competing against them all those years with the Nats to then flip the script and actually join them. Really got to really like Pete Alonso, Nimmo, Lindor, all those guys there. From competing against them to being a teammate, really got to appreciate everything they brought. So you signed up there to win, and you really thought we'd have a chance to win there, and obviously we didn't, and so that's what stinks. But yeah, I'll say the clubhouse is the thing I'll miss the most.
Max, do you have respect for what the Mets tried to do? Because they spent a lot in free agency. You were a part of the union. To me, and we can say whatever we want on this show, which is important. There are some owners that are not doing much, not spending much, censoring their broadcasters. And then you have Steve Cohen, who speaks to the media all the time, tweets, spends money. That's good for the game, no?
Yeah. And that's what stinks about this whole situation, and is that, Steve really put himself out there, really went after and tried to make himself, build a winning team. We had that vision. Every player thought we were on a team that was going to be able to go deep in the postseason. We won 100 ball games last year. Like, everything was telling you things are definitely trending up in New York. And like you said, there's other owners that don't do that come up short when the team needs it, and that's frustrating as a player, because you feel like you're so close to being able to do something great for the organization, and you're there, and they a lot of owners, sometimes they don't. So I was very fortunate that to be a part of the Mets and Steve and try to be a part of the vision. It just really stinks that it didn't work out.
Max, now I don't know all the rules, but if I was playing still and you were on the trade block and I'm a player and I know you and I have your phone number, I'm texting you and being like, dude, come to Chicago or come to Atlanta. I mean, does that happen still? And you can say no, because I don't know what the rules are. You know the rules way better than I do as far as communication. But if the rumors come out and they're like, hey, Max Scherzer's available, and I'm on a team that's pretty good and I have a relationship, I'm going to be like, hey, Max, it's really nice here in Texas.
That's how you say it. You say, I'm loving life.
I'm loving life here in Texas. If that comes up and you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, I won't say the specific players or teams, but I didn't think I was getting traded. Maybe for a hot minute I did, and then all of a sudden I was like, no, it's not going to happen. And then there was a couple days before the deadline. All of a sudden, there was a couple guys across the league, like you said, that were reaching out to me, talking about, hey, would you come to this team? Would you waive your no trade clause for us? That's when it, that's when something, became peculiar to me, because, I figured, the Mets were going to sell off, the impending free agents, the guys who are going to be free agents after 2023. The fact that there was, now all of a sudden there's trade offers for myself, something's going on here, and that, I didn't want to get blindsided by a trade, so you got to get in front of those things, and so that's how I knew something was really up.
Again, you don't have to say which teams or of guys were texting you, but once you kind of got to the door of the deal being done or something, was Texas the only option, or were they the only team that came to you, or were there a few others that were kind of nearing the finish line for you?
There were other teams, but Texas made the most sense, not only for this year, but for next year, to be able to move the family close to Florida. It checked the most boxes for me, especially with keeping those. I got a ring. I don't need to chase a ring. I'd rather see more of my kids, not less of my kids. And so, if you present an opportunity where I get to see more of my kids and be able a chance to win a ring, that's what makes most sense for me.
Hey, here's the thing, Max. You know what else you like? Your money. And guess where they don't have state income tax? You can also see more of your money, your kids, and more of your money. As you go from New York to Texas, you're like, well, that's quite a percentage of a savings. So that made it easy then for you to say, okay, yes, I'll opt in, because you did have the opt out at the end of
Mhm.
23. So that made it easier because of the things the Rangers presented, not only for this year, but so does that mean, and again, I don't know what the rules are at all because I've never went through this, but does Chris Young call you, or is this all negotiated through the Mets speaking to the Rangers?
Yeah, this is when Scott came into play. You know, I was talking with Scott, and how we wanted to. We were kind of doing dual parts of the contract. You got the no trade clause, and you had the opt out, and yeah, and just how that all just manifested out. I mean, that's just stuff that needs to stay behind the scenes, but everything got worked out the way it needed to get worked out.
All right, family. Look, you moved you got to spend at least a little bit of time giving the wifey a shout out for what she's going through right now and what she went through in the last 8-9 days.
Oh yeah. I mean, I almost have the easy part of going out there and playing baseball. That's everything I know. You got clubbies helping me out every which way. I don't envy somebody trying to move 4 little kids across the country, housing, you name it, cars, everything, trying to get that all set up. And then it's hectic. It's definitely hectic on her end. So hopefully here in a couple of weeks, once we get settled into Texas, I gotta send her out to a spa day, get her some.
Spa week. Come on, kid.
Wait, did you guys find someone to take your donations in Long Island? Because she sent out the tweet about baby wipes and diapers and household stuff. So did you guys find somebody?
No, I don't know.
She's handling that.
I know, but
she's gonna have. She's a boss. She knows how to figure that stuff out.
okay.
Families don't ever get enough credit for, while the player gets to go out and just play, they really don't get enough credit to behind the scenes picking up and moving to a different city and finding new places and handling all that. So shout out to everybody who ever has to deal with that and has that one they can rely on, that rock.
Right. Yeah. With the Mets, talking to David Robertson, saw him in Florida, we're kind of saying the same things. It's crazy, crazy for us, but it's just crazier for the family because, he's got 3 kids as well. So, it's nuts on them, and trying to explain it to you can't really explain it to a 2-year-old. Derek keeps pointing to the Mets jerseys and saying "Dad." He hasn't figured out Texas.
You have to just do the sneaky, while he's taking a nap, replace all the Mets stuff with Rangers stuff.
Yeah, at some point where you have to take all the Mets stuff away from him and now put all the Texas and say "Dad."
Hey, Brandon and the boys in Texas, they're pretty good about it. They're pretty good about Brandon, the clubhouse guy in Texas.
It's the same guys that when you were there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're pretty good about it. When I was there, they gave my son a locker. So he had a locker next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
Home and road uniforms. And no, Texas is great.
Yeah. No, they did great. They already got some jerseys out to the family. So last start, they were all watching a game in powder blue Texas jerseys.
Perfect. Hey, Max, do you know your pitching schedule yet?
How
far out? Maybe I should ask this. How far out do they map it for you?
I kind of asked, a little bit of hey, we're going to honor off days. And they're like, yeah, we're going to honor off days. So you can kind of count from 5 after that.
Okay. Because August 26th and September 2nd,
I
have Rangers games.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm sure he'll adjust the schedule for you.
I'm hoping I can do one of them, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to start counting. I'm going to say, okay, pitch. Okay. That's
and then you count out and then it rains.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in Texas, you got a dome.
No, Texas.
No.
That's actually super underrated. The retractable roof.
Oh,
Texas.
Gosh, man, to never have a rain out or a rain delay. My gosh, that is amazing.
I love that Texas has a dome and Chicago doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's 120 degrees out. We're good. Temperature controlled. It's 75 all the time. Yeah, a lot of guys come on this show and talk about that. Max, I have one rules question for you, pitch clock related, just because come playoff time, right? This is a team on track to be a playoff team.
Yep.
I know it's been talked about. Do you think that the league will end up adjusting the clock a little bit, or do you think now that everyone's played through it, it's going to be fine? I'm just trying to envision what the playoffs are going to look like if things are getting rushed. And even the other day, I know with Isonia, right? It was hey, one extra pitch. No, we can't do that. The clock's ticking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think MLB will do anything. I just think they're hard-headed and won't make an adjustment and willing to, affect the playoff game for the clock. I mean, it's actually a simple solution really to all this. I've been thinking about this one is to sit there and say, look, the first 2 violations are free. Like, look, everybody's trying to play. You rarely ever see 3 violations in one game. Everybody's trying to, like, no one, it's a part of our routine. Everybody's trying to comply with it. The one time you don't comply with it, it's usually over a second, 1 or 2 seconds. So if you just said, okay, everybody's like, the behavior has changed. You're not going to, like, just giving a free violation, like, you're not going to change anything. Like, that would make sense to me.
Makes sense. So I know this is kind of a weird question because you're in the battle, but what did Dan Iasonia say to you? Because you said one more. So he said one more, and then you threw the pitch, and then he banged you for a pitch clock violation.
Yeah.
And then after the inning, you went over to him and said, you said one more. So can you walk us through that? Because watching it from afar, you're kind of like, wait, he said one more. He should have got one more. So the clock overpowers the umpire's voice?
Yeah, well, that's I guess the confusing thing for all of us is the umpire has the right to wave off the clock. So, and that's happened to me plenty of times where the catcher's late or whatever, and the umpire waves off the clock. Like, all right, and then you get your 8 warm-up pitches, and then like you play baseball. I thought this was another situation because the catcher was late. I was late. The catcher was even more late, and so Dan. I think he was trying to sit there and say, like that was it. Yeah, I think from his perspective, he was just trying to abide by the clock, and thought that was my last one. And I was like, no, I wanted one more. Like, I actually needed 2 more. And I had only thrown 6. I hadn't gotten 8. It's just, I guess that's what's, confusing is that, like it's just another example where there's confusion where we're trying to comply, but we didn't. And then you get banged for it. We actually changed the game because of this. Even though we're playing the game fast, we're changing the game. We're going to change the game. I just don't believe that was the intent of the clock when it got installed. That's not how we sold it. Like, hey, when the catcher's slow to get out, that's what's driving the pace of play. That's what's slowing down the game is that catcher running out so late. That's not what this was for. And so that's what's frustrating about it.
Understood. Especially in Oakland, where you got to run 6 miles to the dugout. You got to run have you ever seen how big Oakland is, Scott?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the catcher, I don't know who was catching you, but whoever the backup catcher is, they better get their ass out there. They better stop eating spread.
Well, the thing is, because I don't like to be in the dugout during my starts because like the dugout chatter, everything that's going on in the dugout, like that, I don't want to hear it. Like, I just want to be locked into myself. So actually, I mean, the Oakland ballpark. So I actually go up into the clubhouse and stay away from everybody. I'm just watching the game on TV. And so as soon as one out happened, I started walking down. As I'm walking down those stairs, all of a sudden I hear the 7th inning stretch. And so I start sprinting. Like, what the heck just happened? I'm like, bat out of hell trying to figure out what's going on. They're like, hey, there was a line drive double play. I'm like, all right. So I'm running out there as fast as I can. So, yeah, it's wild.
You know what the biggest thing is, too, and this will be a huge thing in the playoffs? Because have you been using calling your own pitches?
Yep.
Okay. So Pitchcom, I mean, I've seen players, there's no way there's always a Pitchcom problem for certain guys. And also come playoff time, it's going to be loud as hell. So I can't wait to see that dynamic with the clock. Like, there are going to be, because some of the umps have been catching on, like, I don't care. So that's going to be crazy too, because you're used to that. And then it's loud or you might not hear it. And they're like, I don't care. You got to pitch.
Right. I know. There's been times where I'm pushing a button and it's not coming through. Like, I'm pushing slider, and like you don't hear it. So, like, explain that. Like, if I'm pushing slider, are we going to start saying that's a pitch clock violation? That's a disengagement? Like, it doesn't make sense.
That's going to be a problem. I'm telling you. I know, because I'm saying this because other guys told me this.
It's going to be loud as hell. They say they play Houston and Houston gets loud. I mean, some of these places get really loud.
Yeah.
Who was it? Lorenzen last night said he couldn't hear in the no-hitter.
It's a regular season game, and that park was not full. It was 30K out of like 40.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
So something to think about.
You're going to have to work on your touch signs.
Oh, if we had to go back to actually signs, I got it. I got the signs. You ain't cracking my signs. I got it.
All the way back to 2022
Yeah,
when we did
all the
signs.
way back.
Yeah.
Well, Max, dude, great to see you. Great catching up. Awesome to see you with the Rangers and with this contending ball club. Appreciate the time as always, dude.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Max
Thanks,
Scherzer
Max.
with us
Thank
on
you.
FT Live. Thanks. That was great. Awesome.